In this exercise, we're going to take a look at a few ways of configuring the driver signing options in Windows Server 2003. We'll look at these options in a couple of parts so we can take a look at the file signature verification wizard. But first, let's take a look at how you can configure driver signing options in the first place. You can start by clicking on My Computer and going to the Properties. Or you can also open the System Properties by accessing the System icon in the Control Panel. Either way, you'll end up with the system properties that are shown here, and we'll start by clicking on the Hardware tab. The option that we want is under the Driver Signing section, so we'll go and click on the Driver Signing button. There are three options for what actions you want Windows to take when you're trying to install a hardware device driver. The first option is to ignore driver signing altogether. So that means whether you're installing a signed driver or an unsigned driver, Windows Server 2003 will automatically install it without prompting you any further. The second option is to warn. And this is the default option that's set up, and for good reason. Basically what it does is it specifies that if you have a signed driver, the driver will be installed without any warning whatsoever. But if you have an unsigned driver that you're trying to install on your system, you'll receive a warning message. Now, systems administrators will be able to continue despite the warning, but at least you'll be told that it's a potentially unsafe action. Finally, the safest option, but also the one that probably has the least usability, is to block. And this option specifies that you can never install unsigned device drivers. And this option is going to be used on your servers that need to stay most secure, and you want to ensure that you have only drivers that are tested by Microsoft installed on your machine. Once you've chosen your level of device driver signing, you can click the OK button to continue. And again, we're going to go ahead and click OK to close the system properties. One of the important things to do on your system is if you suspect that you have a problem that's caused by unsigned device drivers, you might want to find out what those files are. So let's do that using the file signature verification wizard. Here I'm going to click on Start, Run, and type SIGVERIF to launch the file signature verification tool. Now normally I can use the default options just by clicking on Start, and this button will basically run all the default options and it will search my Windows directory for any unsigned driver files. But for the sake of this exercise, let's take a look at some of the advanced options that are available in the file signature verification tool. So I'm going to click the Advanced button, and there are two tabs that show up. On the Search tab, I can be chosen to be notified if any system files are not signed, or I can also choose to look for any additional types of files. For example, I might have installed some applications into a specific folder, and I want to see if the various DLL files that are included in that application are digitally signed. So I might go ahead and type in star.dll to choose DLL files to be scanned, and then maybe specify the specific folder that my application is installed in. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and revert back to the default option to just look at system files. The second tab here is also very useful, and it shows me the logging options for the file signature verification tool. So one of the options that you have here is to choose whether or not you want to save the results of the file signature verification to a log file. In this case, I do want to do that. I'm going to choose to overwrite the existing log file if one already exists. I'm going to go ahead and enter in the path to a local file system location, which is my eData directory, and I'll stay with the default file name of sigverif.txt. To accept these options, I'll click OK. Then I'll click the Start button to start the file signature verification process. Now, depending on the speed of your system and the load on your system, the file signature verification process can take anywhere from a few seconds to several minutes. In this case, I think on my machine it'll take several minutes, so what we're going to do is pause this exercise, and we'll go ahead and let the file signature verification tool do its work, and then we'll come back and take a look at the results. Okay, we've jumped ahead a little bit here, and the file signature verification wizard is finished. Once the process is finished, you'll see this dialog box, the results from the scan, and you can notice that there's several drivers and files that the wizard has found that are not actually digitally signed. So here I've got these are the these are the drivers for my wireless network adapter, and they're not digitally signed. I can see various pieces of information, for example, in the name of the file for the driver, and in which folder it's located. So in this case, it's in my Windows System 32 drivers directory. You can also see when the driver file was modified, and this is sometimes useful if you want to compare a vendor's website to see if there's any newer files available. And finally, I can see a version number if that information is available for the file as well. I'm going to go ahead and close the signature verification results. And you'll notice, if you notice quickly there, that the log file was written. So let's take a look at that log file real quick. So I'll go and go to my eData directory. And you'll notice that there's a sigverif.txt file created. I'll go ahead and double click on that file. It'll open it up in Notepad. I'll turn off word wrap so it's a little bit easier to read. And as you can see here, this is a complete report of all of the files that were scanned, along with information, for example, when the files were modified, the version of the files, the status, which means whether they're signed or unsigned, and finally where they're located, if they're located in a specific Windows drivers catalog file. So as you can see, this log file can provide you with a lot more information than the on-screen results that you see. Overall, the file signature verification wizard is a great way for you to search for any unsigned drivers, and it's a good place to start for troubleshooting any kind of device driver related problems that you might have in your servers.